guys, it's Brooke from the Vintage Gardener. Welcome back to my channel. So as you can see, I'm outside. I'm sitting in front of the fountain. Hopefully you guys can hear me over the fountain and the cars. I'm wearing my microphone. It appears to be working, but we'll see how this goes because I've been having some real issues with it. So today's video comes courtesy of a discussion I was having with my mother earlier. I've been talking to her to death about my drip tubing and drip tape and carrier tubing, and she wants to get into it because she wants to kind of automate her watering. And so she was asking me about it, and I thought about it. I was like, something, I don't think I've actually done a video start to finish explaining the different types of drip tubing. So I'm just talking about drip tubing. I'm not talking about drip tape. I have not used drip tape. I'm going to show you what I've been using in my garden. Okay, so generally speaking, there's two different types of drip irrigation tubing. There is 1/2 inch poly, and then there is 1/4 inch poly. So, for example, this is 1/2 inch right here, and then this right here is 1/4 inch. Okay, now, even though there's 1/2 inch and 1/4 inch, there's two different types of the polys. So with the poly, you have what's known as distribution tubing, and the distribution tubing is, oh, hang on, I'm about to fall out of my chair, y'all. Well, I'll give you an example using the 1/4 inch tubing. So this is distribution tubing. You probably can't see it that well, but there's no holes on it at all. There's no emitter holes. It's just, it carries the water. And same thing with the 1/2 inch distribution tubing. It has no holes in it. And then you have emitter tubing. Now, if you get the 1/2 inch poly that's got emitter holes in it, there's, as far as I've only seen the 12 inch spacing between the emitters. Like this one is 12 inch spacing, and then they have 18 inch. Now, I do have some emitter 1/4 inch right here, and now the emitters on the 1/4 inch tubing are a little bit different. Now the one I'm holding in my hands is every 6 inches, but I've also seen it for 9 inches, and then I've seen it for 12 inches. Now I know you guys are probably thinking, how do I know which one to use? Okay, so usually when I start when I'm attaching to the faucet, I usually start off with the distribution tubing. And because a lot of times, my faucets are up in the air, so I kind of take that distribution tubing down, and then I usually put an elbow on it, and hold on a second, I've got some elbows and connectors right here. That's a coupler, a straight coupler. If for example, you run out of tubing, you get a new roll, that's how you connect it. And then this is one of the T connectors. So that's what I will use. I'll use a 90-degree elbow once I've brought it down from my faucet. And then I'll start the poly. Sometimes I'll start the emitter tubing right away. Sometimes I'll just take the poly to where I want to start and then run grids off of it that way. It just depends upon how you want to do it. If I have a long stretch, like for example in the parterre garden in the pink and red sections, and actually throughout all, I'm using the 1/2 inch poly. Now the thing with the 1/2 inch poly is that if you have a lot of sharp corners, you're going to need to use 90-degree angles. It doesn't really curve that well because it's fairly rigid, which I think you could see when I was holding it. Now, if you want to run, tubing in an area that has an unusual shape, then you're probably going to want to use the 1/4 inch tubing, because as you can see, this is a lot more bendable, flexible. You can do any number of shapes with this. So I'm going to be using the 1/4 inch tubing, combination of 1/4 inch tubing and 1/2 inch distribution tubing in my memorial garden. So the way I'm envisioning it, actually I'll take the camera over there so you guys can see what I'm talking about. So as you can see, I ran the distribution tubing from one side of the flower bed underneath the gravel walkway into the new flower bed. any of the, any of the walkways. So this is coming out to here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach a straight coupler to this and attach the rest of my distribution tubing, which is right here. Okay, and so I'm going to run this 1/2-inch distribution, and I'll use this, my roller so you guys can see, right along this area right here until we get to here, and then I'm going to use probably a 90-degree elbow to run it this way, following the ruler, and then, when I get to this point, this corner, doing the 90-inch turn and, taking it to the back of the bed until I get all the way around the fountain. Now, once I do that, I'm going to use the 1/4-inch emitter tape. Now, I bought some from Home Depot that has emitter holes every foot, and bumper snoot standing guard over it. But I'll just get this piece that I've already taken off. Okay. And so basically, there's a hole punching tool, which I just realized I left inside. So you punch a hole in the black tubing, and as you can see, this thing has got a barb on it. That's how you connect it to the distribution tube. And then you just wind it through your bed. Any configuration. I do have land staples to hold it down in place. So that's how you do it. Okay, now let me show you what I did with the rest of the flower beds. The bigger beds, I guess I should say. Okay, so this is my setup over here. I use Beehive as my faucet timer. I can control it with my iPhone. So off the hose bib, I have a, actually it's connected directly to the timer. And then underneath of that, I have a backflow prevention valve. And then after that, I've got the coupler that attaches it to the tubing. Now, as you can see, that black tubing goes down and around the outer edge of the bed, and then you can see, I don't know if you can see it from here, but there is a T-coupler, and I attach the brown tubing to run down here, and then where it stops right here, I have, I bent it at a tight angle and put a little crimper on it to hold it into place. So that's how I did that. So you can use landscape staples to hold everything in place. So that's how I did the major bends. Now, when it comes to things like pots, I do run my drip tubing through the holes in the bottom of the pot. So this has had a rose bush in it. So let me show you quickly how I did that. Now there is a video on my channel where I did this in a planter, but that was kind of far back. It was probably one of my earliest videos, so I don't blame you for not wanting to go back and watch that. Okay, so basically I take the tubing like so. Here's the end of it, and I just stick it through any of the holes in the bottom. Okay, and then you just pull it straight up. Okay, and I'll do this first before I put any dirt in it. Okay, so at one end, it's got the barb on it, so I can attach it to the distribution tubing. And at this end, you can put either a drip emitter on the end of it, or you can put some of that perforated pipe, like that one, that 12-inch one. You can use a coupler and just kind of spiral it around the interior of the pot and pin it down so that it stays. So I've showed you the couplers for the 1/2-inch tubing, and so you have, like I said, a 90-degree bend. And then let me go in my bag and show you. Oh, those are for the 1/4 inch. I'll go over those next. But like, for example, This is a straight coupler, so you just want to connect 2 pieces. And that's another straight coupler. Let me see if I have any T1s in here. I think I used all my T1s. But this is what you crimp it at the end with so that the water doesn't shoot out the end. So that's pretty much it for those. Now for the 1/4-inch tubing, they have couplers too. This is the pressure compensating dripper. This is a gallon per hour emitter. So for example, when I showed you that pot, you can just attach this directly to the end of that tube, and that will work. And then let's see, we've got T connections. So it's the barb T. So this one is actually a T1. So if you want to, for example, run a line and then have something coming off at a 90-degree angle, that's what you would use for that one. And then let's see, this one is the one that connects directly into the distribution tubing. And then last but not least, we have goof plugs. So if you have to change your mind about something, you can cap it off. So that, in a nutshell, guys, is how you use the drip tubing. So the nice thing about the drip tubing is that the parts and pieces are interchangeable. So if you have Rainbird and then you want to go to Mr. Landscaper, or you want to get the dig line from Home Depot and that sort of thing, the nice thing is that all the emitters and stuff work from brand to brand, so you don't have to feel like, oh my goodness, I started with Rainbird, I gotta stay with that. You can mix and match them. So that's pretty much it, guys. So I hope you found this interesting. I hope you found it helpful, especially if you weren't sure where to start. And so now I'm going to set the camera up, and I'm going to get to starting the drip tubing in the Memorial Garden, and I'll check in with you guys later. Hey guys, don't forget about the call-in show on July 23rd at 8 p.m.